Hey guys, welcome to my channel, and today we're reading Nightmare by Mini Man on Wattpad. So let's get into it. What did you just say? Katsuki laughed as he looked at you. That I want to apply for UA, was your response. Katsuki could only scoff. You? Apply to UA when you didn't even have a quirk? There was no chance. So that's your dream? To get into UA? Asked Katsuki with a smirk. You nodded your head and glared up at him. You won't get in. After all, you're just a useless person without a quirk. The ash blonde grumbled. A quirk doesn't really make you who you are. You do that by yourself. He quickly defended. The boy that was in front of you, however, only scoffed and waved his hand. Yeah, whatever. He just huffed in annoyance and looked away from him. Every day was the same when you came to school. He saw you, he bullied you, and that was that. I know what you could do though. It would be a great help for me and everyone else. Katsuki suddenly announced, causing you to hum and turn your head to face him once again. What is it? You asked with a small frown. The ash blonde stepped closer to you and whispered harshly, Why don't you go and take a swan dive off the roof? That would be a great help. With that being said, he laughed loudly and walked away, meeting up with his friends who all laughed with him, before exiting the school grounds, sighing to herself. You just allowed your thoughts to slowly but surely consume you. It was true. Everything he said about you. You were pretty much useless without a quirk. So, what did you say to her? One of Katsuki's friends asked as they came closer to the side of the school. I told him to take a swan dive from the roof, muttered Katsuki, now finding what he said completely unnecessary. Heck, he was basically telling you to commit suicide. Katsuki, his other friend muttered, sounding worried as he stared up at the side of the school. With a roll of his eyes, Katsuki groaned. What is it? It looks as if what he told Mayan is coming true, the same person said, pointing up towards the roof of the building. All three friends hurriedly looked up towards the school roof, where they spotted you standing at the edge, crying, while looking as if you were about to jump off at any moment. Damn it! Cursed Katsuki immediately, growing worried by every passing second. He rushed back into the school grounds, taking quick glances at you to make sure you didn't fall. He didn't actually mean what he said. He didn't really want you to jump off the roof. Wayan, he yelled out. But unfortunately, the harsh wind carried his voice, so you were unable to hear. Panting, Katsuki stormed inside the school until he found the steps leading up all the way to the roof. Luckily, no teachers saw him, since the roof was out of bounds for students. Not that Katsuki would care anyway if he was caught. Running up the stairs as quickly as possible, he prayed that he would get you just in time. However, Katsuki gasped as he heard the scream. Then a loud thud from outside, and he knew full well it was you. He had killed you, all because of him, and his stupid words and ego. The ash blonde slid down the wall and hugged his knees, tears now streaming down his cheeks, as he cried into his arms, hearing the sound of teachers' footsteps rushing outside and sounding alarmed. Katsuki Bakugou had just told Wayan to commit suicide, and they had actually done it, all because of him. Katsuki gasped and woke up in an instant, finding himself cold with sweat as well with cold, wet cheeks. Breathing heavily, the ash blonde hurriedly wiped away his ice-cold tears and tried to process what had just happened. When he realized it was all a nightmare, he sighed in relief. Then he casted his eyes downwards to see peacefully sleeping beside him in bed. He reached out and gently stroked her cheek with his finger, being careful not to wake you up. Honestly, he felt like an absolute jerk thinking about those memories. In middle school, Katsuki used to bully you all the time, since he thought you were an easy target, being quirkless and all. So when you did indeed accomplish your dream of entering UA, he was confused. It was then found out that you had been given one for all by the one and only All Might. I was such an idiot, Katsuki whispered to himself, finding it idiotic and how he used to treat you so badly. He realized soon enough that he hadn't really apologized to you. The ash blonde gasped and went silent as soon as he saw you grinding and shuffling around in the blanket. Before slowly sitting up, he watched as you tiredly wiped your eyes before yawning and blinking a few times. As soon as your eyes looked with Katsuki's ruby-red eyes that had tears collected in them, you grew worried. Katsuki? You whispered softly. What's wrong? Why were you crying? And that's when he completely broke down. He allowed all of his salty tears to fall down his face as he sobbed into his hands. He felt like an idiot because he never deserved to be treated in that way. Now growing even more worried, you decided to push your wave of tiredness away and comfort your crying boyfriend. And so you sat up and leaned over just enough so you could wrap your arms around his waist. After doing so, you gently pulled him back down onto the bed so that the two of you were laying next to each other, both facing the same way. You moved your hands from his waist to his blonde fluffy hair, where you tangled your fingers as he buried his face into the crook of your neck and sobbed until his throat was sore. After a few minutes of Katsuki's crying and you soothing him and trying your best to calm him down, Katsuki's sobs turned into small sniffles as the two of you held each other tightly in a loving embrace. Katsu, he whispered again, detaching your fingers from his blonde spiky hair. Why were you crying? I'm so sorry, love. He mumbled into your neck, pulling you even closer. What for? You asked, hugging him by his waist again. For what I did to you in the past. I was such an idiot for treating you that way. Why couldn't I see that you were truly wonderful? I suppose I only focused on myself and didn't think about anyone else. Anyway, I'm really sorry for how I treated you back then. You didn't deserve any of my shit. The ash blonde explained to you, occasionally sniffling in the process. A small sigh left your lips as you shook your head before stuffing your face into his belled chest. Katsuki, it's fine, really. I already told you that I forgave you. Besides, that was the past. We need to focus on the future now. And you have changed, he said with a smile as he looked up at Katsuki, who was already looking down at you. Thanks, Ryan, he mumbled as he pressed a soft kiss onto your head, causing you to chuckle lightly. It's alright. I love you, you know? Now let's get some sleep, he said, before hugging him tighter and closing your eyes. Yeah, was all the blonde ash murmured before looking down. A few minutes had passed, and you had already drifted off to sleep while hugging Katsuki in a comforting embrace. The embrace he loved getting from you. He smiled down at you and whispered, "I love you, Anne."